Now, in today's episode of Wonder the World, we are dreaming very, very big because we are talking about the kind of travel bucket list experience that most of us will never be able to afford. I have to concede that up front. But wow, what an adventure it would be to go on. And I just wanted to let you know that this exists as an option for you if you are lucky enough to be in the bracket that can afford this level of travel. And also, I want to talk about it even for those who won't ever experience it in person, because it does so much to highlight a conservation issue that is not talked about as much as the rhinos and the pangolins and the like, and that is the conservation status of giraffes. I was very interested to receive a press release just yesterday coming out of the latest CITES gathering, voicing relief at the fact that they had successfully fought off an attempt to remove some of the protections in place around giraffes, namely relaxing some of the trade restrictions around giraffe body parts. And I read that and I thought, there's a trade in giraffe body parts? Who knew? I've never thought of a giraffe as being an animal that was under threat in any particular way. But this kind of travel experience is going to tell us more about that background, and also tell you a most extraordinary way to be able to engage with this up front and in person. We are talking about a 9-day immersive safari experience in Namibia. It is a luxury trip with a purpose. Guests get to take part in hands-on giraffe conservation at the same time as enjoying the most gorgeous, rugged, beautiful landscapes of northern Namibia. Now, you are going to be led on that journey by two extraordinary guides, Kate Ahl and Emma Wells, who are both giraffe experts who have spent years working in the field. And they accompany travellers every step of the way, working alongside the Giraffe Conservation Foundation, which is a world-leading organisation dedicated to protecting giraffes all around the world. From tracking the Angolan giraffe, and we'll explain what that is shortly, to learning about desert-adapted wildlife, to staying in some of the most incredible lodges. As I said, this is a real bucket list, once-in-a-lifetime experience, particularly for anyone who loves wildlife and who loves wide open spaces. And it's a huge pleasure to have one of those extraordinary guides joining us via Zoom this afternoon to tell us more. Kate Ahl, welcome to CapeTalk and welcome to Wonder the World.
Hi, Pippa. Thanks for having me.
It's a great pleasure. Thank you so much for giving us your time this afternoon. Kate, as I've just said, I'm sure I'm not alone in being the only person who went. I didn't even know that giraffe conservation was something we had to be particularly mindful of. Before we talk about this journey, can we start there with the context? Why do giraffes need protecting?
Absolutely. I think it goes back a long way. We come on safari and we look at animals, and I think everyone wants to see the lions and the elephants, and we know that those animals need protection. And if you went home from your safari, you would be sad if you didn't see the giraffe. And what people we're learning and finding out is that their numbers are in decline in some places, and they need our help. So the Giraffe Conservation Foundation has done a lot of work over the last 15 plus years to bring awareness to that. We call it a silent extinction. We expected the giraffe to be there for us the whole time, but no, they actually need some focus and attention.
And where are the major threats coming from?
I mean, it always boils down to people, right?
Yep.
It depends on country by country. Some countries struggle with war and infrastructure. Other countries, it's land, space, and migration corridors. And, we have to take it country by country when we go for those solutions.
Right. Okay. A little bit about your own background, yourself and Emma. How did you become involved in giraffe conservation?
Well, how much time do we have?
We've got 12 minutes in total, so tell me perhaps the abbreviated version.
100%. No, so we both came from a zookeeping background. I used to work in the States. Emma worked in New Zealand and Ireland. And through both of our zoos, we got involved in conservation and interested in Giraffe Conservation Foundation as an organization. We both came to Namibia years ago and fell in love with it. And for me, it was a job that other people did. Research conservation was something that some other person did in the world, and it wasn't for me. But going there and witnessing it and partaking in it, it opened up a whole new field of work for me, and I dropped my other job and came back to Africa 1 year later.
Okay. Now, you joined the natural selection team in 2021, and anybody who does their fair share of travel, particularly in Africa, will know that that name is synonymous with very curated, very luxurious, very impactful, and just the most incredible travel experiences. And this one certainly is going to be no different from what we've come to expect from that brand. Tell us a little bit more about the Giraffe Conservation Safari and what a visitor who is lucky enough to go on one of these trips will experience.
Yeah, I mean, as you said, it's 9 days of fun in September. We're gonna start out in Windhoek. We'll meet up with the GCF team for a nice dinner. Then the next day we head up to Etosha Heights, which is a reserve bordering Etosha National Park. We will spend 2 days there, sort of getting our giraffe eyes in. We'll learn how to identify individual giraffe. We'll learn some information about their tags and how we monitor them. We can look into the camera traps. We'll just take a deep dive into what they're about and start to like open up the book. After that, we'll go for the real fun stuff. We'll drive over to Huanam Valley Camp, which is in the beautiful Huanam Valley up in the Kunini region. Have you ever been?
I haven't. No, I've never been to Namibia.
It's a stunning landscape. It's an amazing place that very few people get to go to. It feels very remote, very special. Every time I go there, it's just a special feeling that you get when you're there. It's not to be to skip. But once we get there, that's when we'll be doing more of the hands-on stuff. The GCF team will be joining us up there, and they have a long-term monitoring program up there that's started in the late 90s. So they've been monitoring the giraffe population in this very arid desert
Yeah.
for 25 plus years now. And we're going to replace some tags. So a satellite tracking tag will be replaced on a few giraffe. And maybe a couple new ones. We'll see how many we find. Of course, that's always the trick, right? They don't just line up
Yeah. And arrive on
for
call.
this.
Yeah.
But you know the goal is over those next few days to apply a few tags to giraffe, and that's when you really get to see the conservation in action. You get to be a part of it. Now, obviously, you don't get to do any of the veterinary work, but you get to be there on the ground while it's happening, see the experts doing their work, and really feel like you're helping.
I mean, we're talking about incredibly close up conservation experiences in some of the most extraordinary landscapes, and that includes both inland and coastal experiences as well, is my understanding. So a real sense of a part of Namibia that is remote, that is that sense of space around you. Kate, can you try and explain that? Because that perspective, I've had that feeling in when visiting the Okavango in Botswana, of looking around and realizing that in every direction, as far as I could see, I could not see another human being. All I saw was wild landscape, and it was the most extraordinary feeling of my life. Very similar sort of location here, not so?
No, absolutely. The Huanam Valley is beautiful. That river, the Huanam River, runs all the way to the ocean. And after we're finished with all that tagging, we're going to take a 2 day sort of relaxation and head out to the Shipwreck Lodge. And that's right on the coast there, right in the dunes. You're going to, hopefully see some of those desert adapted lions. We
Wow.
might even see a giraffe traversing across the dunes if we're very lucky. But it's just a magical place, and you're absolutely right. Anywhere direction you look, you won't see another person, and you'll just hear wildlife and the silence
Oh,
of the world. It's beautiful.
and I can only imagine what you will see when you look up above you at night into the night skies. The star landscape must be incredible.
The
Starscape, I
stars
should
are
say. Yeah.
amazing. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah.
Lovely
Hopefully
message.
it'll be a new moon.
Okay. Lovely message in from Fran on our WhatsApp line, who says, I am not affiliated in any way, but can only speak in the highest respectful terms of the Giraffe Conservation Fund and their work. This would be a fantastic safari for a cause. And as she says, I'm not affiliated, just a safari guide who has also seen their work in Maun in Botswana. Fran, thank you so much for that endorsement of the organisation that is at the heart of this trip. For anybody who is coming in midway, we are talking to Kate Ahl, who is one of the extraordinary guides who will be your shepherd on this amazing 9-day immersive experience in northern Namibia next September, getting you up close and personal with giraffe conservation, letting you observe giraffe conservation efforts as they happen, and also exposing you to some of the most extraordinary wilderness landscapes and a real sense of isolation and being in the wild. Having said that, Kate, you're not going to feel like you are living in the wild and bush camping in the accommodation. Tell us a little bit about what sort of accommodation is included in this trip.
So each of our camps are very well fitted out. Yeah, you won't be missing your gin and tonic. You won't be missing your high tea.
Mm.
The safari vehicles are quite comfortable. You'll have your own tent, and it'll be you won't have to go walking out for the loo. No bushwees.
Okay, good to know. Kate, one of our listeners asking a question saying, I didn't know that there were different types of giraffe. Are there lots of different alternatives, and can you tell us a little bit more about them?
Sure. Do you know how many species of giraffe there are in Africa?
I have no idea. I wouldn't even be able to hazard a guess, to be honest.
So I heard you talking about CITES
Mm.
earlier about that, and thankfully thanks to the research that the Giraffe Conservation Foundation's been doing over the last years, they've actually helped highlight and discover that there are four species of giraffe in
Okay.
Africa. So those are the northern species, and there are three subspecies under the northern. There's the reticulated, the Maasai, which you probably have heard of,
Hmm.
and there's two subspecies there. And then we come to the southern species, which is what we see in South Africa, Namibia, Botswana, and they have two subspecies, that being the Angolan and the South African.
Okay, so obviously we know the South African version from our own trips to local bush lodges and the like. But thanks for the explanation there. You mentioned that one of the things that'll be discussed in the sort of early part of this trip is identification of giraffes. Somebody else is asking whether they have unique patterns. Is that how you identify them, or is there more to it than that?
No, with the giraffe, it's very simple. Their pattern is unique to them, just like a fingerprint. So
Okay.
we don't have to tag to track a giraffe. We can monitor them from birth until death through their spots. So the spots they're born with is the pattern that they have, and it's a very easy way. And thanks to AI and a few other smart people out there in the world, there's lots of systems in place that we can use to filter through photographs and sort individuals quite quickly.
Amazing, amazing. All right, let's talk about the not so easy part of this, Kate. This is not a budget safari experience. What is the cost of taking part in this 9 day excursion?
Well, there's two parts to it. There's
Okay.
the trip and the accommodation, and that is, I believe, I just heard today, sitting at just over 220,000 Rand.
Okay.
But that's 9 days of amazing time with me and Emma, just
Mm-hmm.
so you know. But the most important part that we need to touch on is there'll be a donation to the Giraffe Conservation
Yeah.
Foundation, and that is 3,500 US dollars per person. But that goes to pay for not only this excursion that we're going on, but it goes to support the staff and the veterinarians and the people that are doing the work day in and day out for the organization. So it pays for those tracking units, those little collars that we're putting on. It pays for the veterinary fees, and on and on. So it is a worthy cause. It's an amazing organization. They work in 21 different African countries on all four species of giraffe. They're the only NGO in the world that is dedicated to giraffe conservation.
Okay, thanks for highlighting that. Kate, somebody else emailing me who's a very keen photographer asking, is this a suitable trip for someone to practice their photography skills? Because it sounds like the ideal sort of location and the opportunity to get sort of up close shots that are very rare and unique. Are photographers welcome, or would the clicking, clicking of lenses be a distraction?
No, absolutely. Photographers are 100% welcome. I'm sure I'll be bringing my camera and sneaking a few shots here and there as well. The landscape is stunning. The animals are stunning. You're going to use that macro lens to get right in on the nose of that giraffe. It's going to be amazing. If photographers are welcome.
Okay, thanks for that. And then perhaps one thing we should mention is the sort of the physical requirements of the trip. Other than being able to get in and out of a game viewing vehicle, is there? You said there's not much on foot work. Does one need to be in any sort of particular physical shape to sign up for a trip like this?
No, there's no requirement to physical shape. Yeah, it'd be great if you can get in and out of the game viewer on your own. That's always
Hmm. Does
helpful.
help, yeah.
But no, there'll be minimal walking. We'll be in wild spaces and there'll be lions around, so we won't be out wandering around the bush too much.
Okay, thanks for that. Before we say goodbye, Kate, let me ask you just for fun. Can you share with us an interesting or particularly eye-opening fact about giraffes that the average person listening to this interview wouldn't have known before? Maybe your favorite fun fact to roll out at pub quizzes.
Well, I will tell you a fun fact that comes up at pub quiz a lot, and I fight with the pub quiz people every time.
Yeah.
So the question often comes is, do giraffe make a noise?
Mm-hmm.
Or what is the mammal that makes a noise that doesn't make a noise? And everyone says giraffe. And the reality is giraffe do actually make lots of vocalizations.
Okay.
So yeah, so I liken it to a mooing type roar. So it's kind of like cow-like noises that they
Yeah.
use, often when they're in distress, but not always. So they do project as a very silent and distinguished animal, but they do make noise. And so I think a lot of people get that fact wrong all the time.
I'm so glad you set us straight on that because I have also heard that myth many, many times that they are the one animal that doesn't make any sound. And I mean, I've the sound I've heard from them is the cracking of necks when two males are fighting in the bush. But of course, that's a sort of a side effect of the fight. I've never heard the mooing roar, but that's one to add to the travel bucket list for the future. Kate, it's been wonderful having you chat to us today. Thank you so much for your time. The last thing to leave our listeners with is if they want to sign up for this trip, who do they need to reach out to? What website do they need to visit?
Yeah, thank you so much for your time. If there's any interest, or just if you want to learn about more of our projects that we support at Natural Selection, you can head over to naturalselection.travel, and that will link to our foundation page, which highlights all of our programs that we support, including the Giraffe Conservation Foundation. If you want to go directly to GCF, you can go to giraffeconservation.org and learn more about all of their research there.
Thank you so much for doing such a wonderful job of painting the picture for us, not only of their brilliant work, but of what sounds like a once-in-a-lifetime trip. And we wish you well for that trip and your subsequent work. Kate Ahl, thank you so much for joining us, one of the guides who will lead this extraordinary journey in September, organised by Natural Selection. And the website again, naturalselection.travel.